This week is such an important week for the Eagles. They've got to stay together and remain together as a club to get this win versus the Giants. Now we're getting reports that there's internal questions about Jalen Hurts. Dallas still stinks. Kick Dingbat here. Hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're hanging in there. It is the Friday before Christmas. Santa Claus is getting ready to come to town, and my wife should be home with my eggnog very, very soon because it's that time of year. Now, listen, let me tell you something. This is the week the Eagles have to survive. They have to survive as a team. They have to survive within that locker room, and all hell is on the verge of breaking loose. I feel like the Eagles are on the edge of a cliff, and they're about to go over the mother humper, but they just got to hold back and try to just back away slowly off the cliff, because if they lose to the Giants this week, it's going to get insane. It is. Now, before we get into all this, if you do the channel, you like the content, make sure you hit that like button. More importantly, make sure you subscribe to the most censored, the most throttled, the most censored and throttled, pause, Eagles content creator in all of the internet. And listen, I'm in a great mood. I've had a lot of sleep. I've had a lot of caffeine. It is great being off of work, I'll tell you. Like, I get so much more done not going to work. It's a great thing. One day. But, you know, this Eagles game on Monday, in all seriousness, the Eagles need this win. They need this win, not just to stop the bleeding of having lost, you know, your playoff spot and to be struggling, but I think that this locker room, I think this team, I think they're all on the verge of epic collapse. I mean, epic collapse that you write history books of. If the Eagles, let's say if they lose out, or if they struggle and lose to the Giants here and then they get tossed in the first round of the playoffs, this will go down as one of the epic collapses in the history of the NFL. To be a 10-1 seed, 2 games up in first place after 11 games, and then to have it finished the way it seems like it's going right now, it's one for the history books. And it'll definitely be the biggest collapse that I've ever seen by the Eagles. And at that point, it's like, I don't think there's recovering from it. I think the coach has to go. I think they all have to go. I don't think you recover from an epic collapse like you're talking. So this week versus the Giants it's going to really go a long way, because to me, the Eagles are right now, they're just like a giant pot of boiling water with a lid over it. And it's bubbling and it's steaming and the pressure is just building up. And what the Eagles need to do is just get a win. Just get a win versus the Giants and just, you know, that just ease off some of that pressure. A win is like taking the lid off the pot and letting that pressure out and letting the water die down a little bit. And the Eagles will be able to catch their breath. You know what I mean? They will be able to get refocused. And then you win the next 2 games. And maybe you get rolling again. Maybe you get a little confidence built up again. Then you go in the playoffs and then you do damage. You go for it, you know? That's really how I'm hoping it's going to go. But to me, this is the week that you have to get by. This is a week that you have to remain together as a team. And we're seeing certain things start to flare up, right? You're seeing A.J. Brown flare up social media with my man LB. Love LB. And then, you know, you see it with Nick Sirianni in the press conference, saying bizarre things, kind of snapping at the media. Now, of course, and this is like just on cue, okay? Now we're getting reports that the Eagles are having some internal concerns about Jalen Hurts, all right? Here's what the Eagles have some, quote, internal concern with Jalen Hurts via Jeff McClain. Now, here's what the internal concerns are, okay? Because right off the bat, when I see this, I think of the Carson Wentz situation. But this is a little bit different, and I'll explain why in a second. Here's what it says. The quote, the Eagles want Hurts to be authentic, but they also want him to open himself up a little bit more in the locker room and have a more outward leadership style when it's needed during difficult stretches. So they apparently want Jalen Hurts to be the guy in your face. Hey, yo, get going. Yeah, come on, we can do this. We know all that stuff, that rah, shish kumbah type stuff, right? That's what they want Jalen Hurts to be. That's what they're expecting him according to this report. Now, here's what I'll say. A few years ago, if you guys remember, there were the reports about Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz not getting along with all the players in the locker room, having like cliques and not being the true leader, not being outward to certain players while being really good friends with others. And I thought it was bullshit. I thought the whole report was BS. And I went off and I protected Carson Wentz and I stuck up for him. And it turned out it was an accurate report. It was an accurate report, okay? So I want to be careful in saying that something's complete and utter bullshit when I really don't know one way or the other. But what I do know is this. The report that came out about Carson Wentz back then was talking about his overall getting along with certain players in the locker room, about him not, ignoring guys and then being good friends with certain guys and real cliquey, that kind of thing. That's not what they're saying here with Jalen Hurts. They're saying, Jeff McClain is saying that they want the Eagles, some people within the front office want him to be a more outward vocal leader, okay? And maybe there's a few that do, but I don't see how that's an internal concern. I don't think that's a really big deal, okay? Because one, I think Jalen Hurts has shown that he's a leader. I think the way these players go out and play for him and play with him, it shows that he's a real leader. Jalen Hurts has been nothing more than a leader. And here's the other thing I find really interesting about the timing of this article, okay? There's another article that just came out too, and it says basically the opposite thing. Here's the title of this article. Eagles backup quarterback. Jalen Hurts' voice is the one most heard in the locker room and on the field. Let me read that again. Eagles backup quarterback says Jalen Hurts' voice is the one most heard in the locker room and on the field. That sounds like the complete opposite of what Jeff McClain is saying here, that the Eagles want Hurts to open himself up and in the locker room have a more outward leadership style. To me, I don't know how you can have both. If his voice is the one you hear most and he's the one speaking up, then how can he be the one that they want to talk more? So you're getting two different stories. Okay, and what I think it probably is you probably get a few, listen, it's like you watch the game with Jalen Hurts. You watch him out there on the field. And, there are times when they show him on the sideline and he's not saying anything. And there are fans that go, I wish he would get in their face. I wish he would yell. Or after play, I wish he would say this to the receiver or not. And he doesn't do that. And I think people take that sometimes. He's not an outward leader or a vocal leader, when in actuality, he's one of the voices that is most heard coming from the backup quarterbacks. So, no, Jalen Hurts is fine. I don't buy the whole, the Eagles have internal concerns about him. Maybe they want him to speak up a little more at times. Maybe. But Jalen Hurts, more importantly, what this article said, is that the Eagles want him to be authentic. You have to let Jalen Hurts be authentic. You can't try to make him something he's not. He's not a rah-rah, shish kumbah type leader. He's not a Ray Lewis type guy. That's fine. He doesn't have to be. But Jalen Hurts, you can't tell me, has not showed great leadership. And look at that Kansas City game. Look at the Dallas game when we come back in the third quarter one. Look at all the comebacks and how Jalen Hurts has carried this team. He has literally carried this team on his back most of the season. There is no way that the Eagles are 10-1. They never get to 10-1 without Jalen Hurts and his leadership. So I think that this is a way. I'm not going to say it's totally fake. I learned my lesson to say that under the Carson Wentz thing. So I can't tell you it's totally fake, but I can say I think it's way overblown. I do not believe there's an internal concern about Jalen Hurts not being loud enough in the locker room. That doesn't even make sense to me. I could see it if it's like there's an internal concern about Jalen Hurts and his knee injury, or Jalen Hurts and him, last game. But I don't know. I think that this is an overblown story, and I find it very funny that there's a story that's almost the direct opposite at the same time, saying that Jalen Hurts' voice is most heard in the locker room and on the field. So my thing is this: Jalen Hurts just needs to keep doing what he's doing in terms of leader. Can he improve? I'm sure in certain leadership aspects, probably, but I don't think this is way big as a deal as it is. What is a big deal to me, and what I think that they should be talking about, is this: if the Eagles do not beat the Giants this week, they do not beat the Giants. I got to tell you, I think this thing is going to be an epic collapse. I think you got to fire the coach. I actually think that if you have a collapse, like it looks like the way it's going, I think that if you're the Eagles, I think you almost have to go out and fire the coach. And I know that's crazy, but how do you recover from this as a head coach? How do you recover from an epic collapse like the Eagles are currently in a stretch of having? That would be my question. I don't know that you recover from that. So to me, that's the bigger issue. That should be the bigger concern in the Eagles locker room. How does a coach collapse after going 10-1? How does he keep that team playing for him, playing hard, and trusting in him, going not just for the rest of the year, but going into next year? How does he save his job? Because to me, this collapse could be that bad if the Eagles don't beat the Giants. This is a gigantic week for the Eagles. This is a huge week for Nick Sirianni. And if he does not go out there and he does not get this team back on track and they don't win, I think he's going to lose the locker room, not just for this year, but going forward. I feel like he's a dead man walking. To me, that's the bigger issue more than anything in the world. Just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about this article and everything said. I will have my preview prediction video out either late tonight, early tomorrow. Sunday, I will not be streaming any games. It's Christmas Eve. And then Monday, of course, is Christmas. And I will be streaming the Eagles game. So look for that. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat. And remember, it's Howie Vision. We're all just living in it. So it looks like Pizzle could not resist my offer. That's right. I made the offer and he took it. Why did he take it? Because he's desperate. He's desperate for that belt that he isn't getting back. That is my belt. I own that belt. Your kids can watch me wear that belt. I'll send them pictures. But Pizzle said, Philly 500, I don't wear a tutu. His daughter and his kids are cute, no doubt. My daddy don't wear a tutu. Oh, your daddy's going to be doing tutus and twirly whirlies. I can't wait. Denzel Washington out.